All right. Hello. Welcome to my new series. It's called Testing Popular YouTubers' Recipes. We're going to stick this paper up here since I'm going to be reusing it for every episode. I don't edit things, so I write things out. All right. First off, for this recipe, we'll be doing Joshua Weissman's Ultra Bubbly Homemade Focaccia. I've rewritten his full recipe in my own words, and the way that I do it is I write all the ingredients and then what you have to do to it with a line break for each separate section. So, for example, this recipe will be 825 bread flour mixed with 150 wheat flour, and then separately water 100 degrees mixed with the yeast, and then we're going to mix this into this for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to add this to this, mix for 10 minutes. After that, mix this to this, 10 minutes. So add, mix, add, mix, add, mix. And then we're going to slap and fold. We're going to leave it in the fridge for 3 days, and we're going to bake it at max heat. So very simple, straightforward recipe. No fluff over here. All right, let's get started. All right, we have sifted flour, wheat flour, yeast, water, salt, oil. That's the order we're going to use everything in. So we're going to add the yeast to the water, and I'm going to do this with one hand. Don't look at that. That didn't happen. It's exactly, I put extra water in there because I knew that was going to happen. Don't mind this. This is going to be for episode 2. We're going to be doing Guga Foods milk powder steak. All right, back to this one. So we sifted it, swirl it to loosen it up, dump, tap, and we're gonna throw this in here, line up the 2 hooks, press down the back. It's hard to do with one hand. And we're going to look for the dough hook. Put it in. All right. Raise it up. Get it started. Come get the yeast. Give it one more swirl. All right. Switch hands. Let's see. We're gonna go as fast as we can without it flying out. That's good enough. It. Dump it in, dump it in, stop, swirl to get everything off the bottom, dump fast. All right, I'm gonna scrape this down every once in a while and we'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, it's been 5 minutes. Here's what it looks like right now. All right, it's been 10 minutes. Let's go in with the salt. All right, 10 more minutes. All right, it's been 10 minutes. Let's go in with the olive oil. All right, 10 more minutes. All right, so it's been 10 minutes. Now we're gonna do the slap and fold. He does it on his counter, but I don't want to make a big mess, so I'm just gonna slap and fold in the bowl. So that's what it looks like. Yep, you can see it like that. So I'm just gonna get in there, pull it up, slap it back in. Gotta get everything. So very important on the earlier parts when it was in the mixer to scrape down the bottoms, because it sucks when you're making bread and you, after 30 minutes of mixing, you realize there was a clump of dried flour on the bottom. And that'll mess with your whole recipe because there's no gluten that got developed into that bread or that flour. So just slapping and folding. And I won't make you watch me do this, but we'll come back in like 2 minutes. All right, it's been 2 minutes. At the same pan he has, half hotel pan, plastic. He put olive oil in his after he sprayed it. I'm not gonna do that because when it proofs and rises, the olive oil, I think it hinders it a little bit. So I'm just gonna go straight for spray only. Get it all in there. Squeeze my hand. Get everything else. I use my fingertips because I know I have clean fingernails. And I always keep them trim. Dirty fingernails in the kitchen, no good. Alright, so I got most of it. I'm gonna throw this in the fridge for 3 days and we'll be back to bake it. Alright, so I'm gonna put this in here and I'm gonna let it proof for a couple hours and then we'll be back. Alright, so I loosened the edges and I just flipped it over so you can see all the striations of bubbles in there. Look at that. Alright, it's been 2 hours, so we can see it proofed up a little bit. Still a little bit cold, so I think if I leave it a little bit longer it'll bubble up some more, but I did put some dimples in, as you can see, where I dipped my finger in the oil in the corner, then I pressed it in, so I'll pull oil over there, and then I'll finish it with salt right before I go in. But I'm gonna start preheating the oven now, like the recipe says, as hot as possible. This is a home oven. Gotta go the slow way. All right, 550 is the max. Let's preheat it. Oven light. So I do have a baking stone and a thermometer in there. So even if the oven says it's hot enough, I'm gonna wait for some additional time to get the baking stone up to temp. All right, we're at 550. Here's the bread. As you can see, there's some dry spots like over here. And that's because I uncovered it and you see it's starting to dry out, so that'll brown up really nice. All right, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more olive oil. A lot of it. And salt. Now you don't want to put the salt on too early because it might start to break down the yeast and deflate your bread. But if you sprinkle it on, just like when you cook a steak, right before you do it, it shouldn't affect it. The oven's really hot right now. Oh, it's a heat wave in here. All right. All right, I moved it to a lower shelf. It's been about 3 minutes. You can hear the sizzling. We'll take a peek. Trying to do it fast so it doesn't cool down too much. Smells yeasty. All right, so the edges are starting to get a lot of color, so I moved it up, and we're actually gonna switch to broil just to finish off the color, and it's gonna go very fast. It'll go from white to brown in like seconds, so I gotta watch this closely. All right, here it is. I actually blow torched it slightly to help give some color to the dark spot or the light spots. Now we're gonna let this cool on a rack, so I need to finesse a rack under this thing. And oh, is it stuck? I think it's stuck. Nah, it's not stuck. It's fine. Try something stiffer. Guess I should have used more oil. All right, I'm not gonna make you watch this. All right, what have we learned today? KitchenAid pans are shitty. Use real kitchen equipment. As you can see, I scraped off some of the Teflon with my gentle scraping, and it ended up on the bread, so I had to scrape it off. This is the bottom. As you can see, has nice color on the edge, has texture, but the center is crap because of the pan. I'm gonna flip it over, we're gonna let it cool, and we're gonna taste it. All right, we're back. We're gonna cut the bread now. So, just gonna, where does it look good? Let's try it right here. Since I know the edge was nice and brown. So you could eat this with olive oil or salt. So, beautiful crust on there. Not sure if it's going to light a little bit. Looks like a Pizza Hut, but perfect. That's probably the only not perfect looking one on this whole thing. Only the outside. Okay, what did we learn today? You need a convection oven, and you need to use actual industrial pans, but crust looks good. We're just going for the recipe on this anyways. Also, the pan could have been smaller, then the focaccia would be taller. We're gonna try it like this. Well, there's some metal shavings on it. I've made a lot of focaccia. If you bake it on the first or second day, the yeast is really strong. Whereas if you wait for the third day, it'll mellow out the yeast flavor, which I'm gonna put some salt on it. By mellowing out the yeast flavor, it tastes better to me. So browns beautifully on the bottom. Crumb looks normal. If it was taller, the crumb would be more obvious, but flavor is yeasty. Could use salt, but I wouldn't put it in the recipe. I would add it at the end because it'll affect the leavening of it if you add too much salt into the dough. That's why you finish it with salt, or you serve it with salt. Oh, let's cut a little deeper. Let's see the center. So there's the crumb in the middle. You can see, looks like focaccia. Top could use more color, but that would be better with a convection oven. And then here's the actual center. Big air holes, big crumb. So as far as the recipe, I would say this is a good recipe to start off with. Very simple. You get what you expected, and it's a good jumping off point for if you want to play with ratios and stuff. And fairly foolproof, except for the, as you can see, the mistakes that I made in a home kitchen. I use home products, which like came with the apartment and stuff like that. Don't do that. Get the good shit. You can go on Amazon. But here's the color of the middle-ish. Oh, no. As far as focaccia recipe, Jonathan Weissman's recipe for focaccia is pretty good. Use good olive oil. It'll taste good. You cannot substitute canola oil. This will be good if you made a whole pan and you let it chill out in the fridge and then you retoast it the next day or something, or whenever you do it. You can even freeze it. It'll taste better when it's retoasted because you can actually hammer it and get it crispy on all edges instead of this being just the outside surface. Alright, that's it for this video. The video being released tomorrow will be Guga Foods Milk Powder Part 3 finale. Alright.